So one thing you mentioned in there that I think it would be interesting to hear a little bit more about is that kind of the rebuilding the reputation of cooperatives.
Yes.
Sort of in the global south. The representatives of the FAT came to Burlington last year, and I spoke with one of the guys in the credit unions, and he just kind of talked about how in Mexico and a lot of Latin America, for instance, credit unions had developed had some corruption and developed some negative reputations, and his federation had been working kind of hard to sort of repair that with sort of the credit unions that were part of it. So can you sort of talk a little bit on sort of the whole global perspective as to what is it that undermined that reputation, and what does the work of rebuilding that look like?
Well, I think in some instances you've had government intervention into cooperatives. So I'll use Senegal as an example. The agricultural cooperatives there over the past 30 years saw government kind of reach in from the side and start to kind of take over the cooperatives and use them as a tool. Folks lost their trust for the cooperative. They started feeling as though the cooperative wasn't owned by them, and it wasn't doing things that helped them. So this government intervention piece to it is, from a democracy standpoint, is taking the co-op name and reviving it with the co-op principles and saying, if you're going to come back together, farmers, you need to overcome your fear of the term co-op. Frankly, in some places, like in Senegal, we didn't lead with a co-op name. We didn't lead with calling it a cooperative. It was a farmer-producer organization. And so, if you don't hear it called a cooperative, but it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, we were getting around the reputation by kind of calling things something else and slowly bringing that co-op name back into it, as they understood that they had a co-op and they were in control of it. You're right also that, good financial stewardship is really important. So, all of our farmers in our ag projects, for instance, and I love this, being a credit union guy, they all are working on really ledger cards. They're working on cards that really lay out their small business, and all of that is bringing financial stability back into the co-op, so that when we're not working there, these organizations continue on. But you're right. I mean, this is where organizations failed their members, and we've got to kind of walk our way around getting to fix those. Whether it's the SACCO movement, the credit union movement in Kenya has come a long way in the last 10 years. It's been by adopting American-looking regulatory structure because, frankly, it was kind of without structure. We complain about regulatory structure in the U.S. as being too heavy. In many cases, in developing countries, it's too light, and by being too light, it's non-existent. And bad things happen when people aren't overseeing these businesses in a way that are very business oriented.